and welcome back to Inner Alchemy Alcove. If you are new here, my name is Lauren Rose and I'm your guide for inner work here on this channel. It's a pleasure to be here today to discuss and go dive deeper into the integration stage of our healing journey. This is the last and final stage we will be discussing in this series. Thank you so much for bearing with me as we dove deeper. I know it can be a little repetitive in what I'm saying sometimes. But I really wanted to make this a foundational series on this channel because I think it's important to understand, especially when you're going through it and maybe you're out there looking for answers, during the exploration stage. I thought this would be a good little series to have out there to help people on their journey. So in the last video, we did discuss the processing stage, various techniques we can use for processing our past traumas and adverse experiences. And then different techniques we can use to navigate the challenges we may encounter as we process. We also discussed the importance of celebrating our milestones, and the importance of self-compassion along the journey. If you have not watched it yet, I do recommend you do so. I will have it linked above for you to click on, so you can take a break from this video and take a look at that, or any of the other videos in this series if you are new to it. Without further ado, let's get into our video today on the integration stage. The integration stage is where we begin weaving our healing insights and techniques we learned throughout our entire healing journey, and we apply it into our daily everyday experience, right? It marks a transition from merely understanding and intellectualizing our experiences and our trauma and what we should be doing in the right in different scenarios, versus actively applying those insights into our lives, fostering lasting change and growth. This is very important. I find it most people can understand and intellectualize and grasp concepts. However, applying it to our lives is sometimes the hardest part. Starting something new takes time. It takes a minimum 28 days to even wire ourselves to make something into a daily, like a practice or a normal routine. So in order for us to even create those neural pathways that will stop us from feeling that resistance towards it, we have to fight through the resistance and stay consistent for a minimum 28 days. So it's important to understand that embodiment and understanding are two very different things. And in this stage, in the integration stage, to know that you've actually made it to this stage is by being able to see the progress and be able to catch yourself making wiser decisions. Okay? So in this stage, we are able to draw upon the foundations we laid out in the exploration and processing stages, right? During the exploration stage, we dove into our behaviors, uncovering buried traumas, emotions, beliefs, and patterns within our behavior, right? In the processing stage, we then work through these discoveries, confronting and making sense of our experiences. In this integration stage, we take these things a step further by bridging the gap between theory and practice. We embody those lessons learned by implementing new behaviors, attitudes, and coping mechanisms into our daily routine. Across different paradigms, the integration stage is always reflected as a state of being, a new state of being, whether it be rebirth, bliss. There's so many different concepts that I've seen out in different spiritual or philosophical mindset type things. But the point is that you have transformed, and you and others will be able to see that transformation in the way you are able to cope and to respond to different stimulus in your environment. This stage is where we become a better version of ourselves by transmuting our pain into wisdom, aligning our actions and choices with our values, and sometimes even finding a new sense of purpose and meaning in our lives. Applying new coping mechanisms and healthier habits into our daily lives is important for sustaining the progress we have made so far throughout our healing journey. These practices not only help us navigate daily stressors, but they also fortify our resilience against future challenges. The new coping mechanisms deployed during the integration stage are always tailored to fit the individual's specific needs and challenges, but they generally aim to promote emotional regulation, self-care, and adaptive responses to stress. Here are some examples of some techniques and practices that we may employ. We may have gained some new emotional regulation techniques, such as deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation techniques, or grounding exercises to help manage overwhelming emotions and prevent them from escalating into distress or panic. We may choose to incorporate mindfulness practices into our daily lives. Engaging in these mindfulness practices, such as mindful breathing, body scans, and mindful awareness of thoughts and feelings, cultivate present moment awareness and reduces reactivity to stressors. Something that really helped me in the beginning of my journey was mindfulness. I spent a good 2 or 3 years making sure to incorporate a mindfulness practice into my daily routine. It didn't take long, just 5 to 10 minutes, and it really did help restructure my mindset and be more appreciative and see more of the good in the world. You know, when you're really, really low and down and suffering, you tend to see we are wired to see the bad in everything when we're in survival mode. So mindfulness practices and just really taking the time to appreciate our bodies, taking the time to appreciate the world around us, the people, the effort it takes to get food onto our table, or really appreciate the people within our lives, and just the basic things of the sun coming up and how important that is for us. All these things really help us to appreciate more of the little things in life. And it really makes the bigger things in life even more special. It makes getting through rough times a lot easier. The next skill that you most likely picked up along your healing journey would be cognitive restructuring, maybe in a more structured environment, like using CBT skills. Cognitive restructuring involves challenging and reframing our negative or distorted thoughts that contribute to stress or emotional distress. As we practice reframing these thoughts, it becomes natural. So at first, it might look like taking time out of your day to write thoughts and then physically restructure the sentence in a more positive or uplifting, inspirational way. Because the more we do it, the more our brains will be wired to then do it naturally. And you'll notice the difference within yourself. You won't be so quick to I can't say this word right, but think that the world is ending every time you run into an obstacle, pretty much. A lot of times we end up learning assertive skills throughout our healing journey, especially if we are recovering from codependency and people pleasing. Learning assertive skills enables us to communicate our needs, set boundaries, and advocate for ourselves in a healthy and respectful manner. This helps reduce feelings of resentment or powerlessness in interpersonal relationships. This is very important, especially if you're someone who struggles with relationships. But on the other hand, you can do all the work that you want to do on yourself. You also have to make sure your partner then is also either doing the work or on your level and understands that your assertiveness is not an attack. It's you advocating for yourself. And hopefully they won't take it personally, or if they do, you're able to communicate in a healthy manner to resolve the misconception. Practicing self-compassion. Self-compassion practices involve treating ourselves with kindness, understanding, and acceptance, especially in moments of struggle or failure. This has a lot to do with reparenting ourselves. A lot of us were raised on shame or guilt or in manipulative ways, and so we need to reparent the inner critic in our mind to be more supportive and be that coach that we've always needed in the world. And I don't mean to say that the inner critic in our heads comes from like an abusive place. Sometimes it can come just from someone who's just a parent that cares too much and is a little too hard on you. Just the verbiage that they use can attribute to it. Also, just, just working through life, constantly, like getting bullied or told that we're stupid. Things like this from our peers can really put a nasty inner critic in our head, right? So we need to retrain that inner critic to not work against us, but work with us through coaching and reparenting. Healthy coping activities. Engaging in enjoyable and fulfilling activities such as hobbies, creative outlets, or spending time in nature provides a healthy outlet for stress and promotes emotional well-being. For codependents and people pleasers, people who tend to go into fawn as their trauma response. These are the people that tend to not have any hobbies or interests or anything like that because they're so busy catering to everybody else in their life. And that is what has kept them safe up until now. But if you are one of those people and you're on a healing journey, it's most likely because you've realized this about yourself and you've realized you kind of have nothing to show for your life. You've just been doing everything for everybody else and making sure everybody else is happy and comfortable and fulfilled. Meanwhile, you're miserable. So healthy coping activities like engaging in hobbies, and if you don't have any yet, just exploring. This is a good time. Your healing journey is a great time to explore new things and without judgment, things that you thought you never even try. Who knows? This has been a really fun part of my journey personally, exploring different art forms, even like exploring MMA. I feel like I'm a naturally fairly aggressive person. So trying to embrace that side of myself, that shadow of myself that I've repressed, and I've repressed my anger, and I am a recovering people pleaser. So getting in touch with that side of myself and channeling it into a more healthier coping activity like MMA and boxing and kickboxing has been something that I'm really considering, and I'm excited to explore and to not be afraid of that aggressive nature within me, but to rather embrace it and channel it in a healthier way so that it doesn't come out in my day-to-day activities. And we'll talk about more about embracing and integrating our shadow in our shadow work series that we'll be doing eventually. During our healing journey, I know I have talked about it and you will hear others talk about it. Having a support network is crucial for recovery and for us to not relapse and go back into our old ways and pick up our old coping mechanisms. It's important to have accountability partners and people who aren't going to encourage you to do these toxic vices, right? We don't want to, unfortunately, this may mean like getting rid of some of the people, I don't want to say, that sounds so negative, but maybe letting go of some of our connections we've made while we were participating in unhealthy vices, because they're going to be uncomfortable about the fact that you don't want to do it anymore. It's going to stir up something within them. And so it's, we've talked about this a little bit before in the last video, how it's common to lose our friends as we heal and grow from our past, because they want to stay in the past and you're moving forward, right? And it makes them uncomfortable because it makes them feel like they should be doing something, which they probably should, but not everybody wants to, and that's okay. That's their decision, and this is yours, right? So it's important to make sure to not stay isolated for long. Make sure that, I do think it's important at some point to have that moment, those times by yourself to really cut out the noise and sit with yourself and get to know yourself. But it's also important to have that support network and to be open to connection and be open to new perspectives and people, maybe even. And if you can't find those people within your community where you are, we do have online communities. Don't be afraid to try that out. It really does help knowing that you're not alone on your journey and knowing that there's other people out there with the same struggles that are just as hard on themselves as you are. And we're all, we're better together, truly. The last thing, technique that you will be taking with you into the integration stage is problem solving skills. A lot of the times, we didn't develop effective problem solving skills as children. Maybe our caregivers and people around us just didn't have the time to effectively teach us these skills, or maybe they didn't have the wisdom and knowledge themselves. Maybe they were stuck in survival mode, and so their problem solving skills were to fight or run or freeze, or to fawn and just drown and numb their pain away with drugs or alcohol or gambling or whatever else addictive vices that we end up picking up along the way. So when you work with a therapist, an empowerment coach, a healer, life coach, whatever, trauma coach, whatever the title is, when you work with someone, they will hopefully teach you, or I would recommend looking for a program that's going to help you develop effective problem solving skills, whether it be somatically with breath work and somatic tracking and being able to identify when we're dysregulated, as well as having different systems in place for when these things happen, like having a strategy plan for when things don't go the way we had planned, having backups and stuff like that. It'll help, especially if you have high anxiety like I do. It will help. You can't plan for everything, but when you have some strategies and plans in place, you will be less anxious about when things do come up, because you'll be able to say, you know what, this is happening. I didn't have a plan for this, so let's make a plan for this now. Let's strategize now and create a plan and put that into our data bank. And it'll help empower you, essentially, to keep going. These coping mechanisms empower us to navigate life's challenges with greater resilience, flexibility, and emotional well-being. By incorporating these practices into our daily lives, we are able to gradually build a repertoire of adaptive coping strategies that support our ongoing growth and healing journey. When we apply these new skills to our daily lives, it helps us solidify the insights we gained during our therapy or self-reflection, self-help, self-development era. This consolidation reinforces positive changes and reduces the likelihood of us reverting back to our old maladaptive patterns, as I said before. Building resilience is essential for bouncing back from adversity. Cultivating healthier habits such as mindfulness, self-care, and boundary setting equips us with the tools to navigate life's ups and downs with greater ease and adaptability. Incorporating healthy habits such as balanced nutrition, regular exercise, and adequate sleep into one's daily routine lays a strong foundation for overall well-being. These habits contribute to physical health, which in turn supports our mental and emotional resilience. I will be having extensive playlists on each of these different topics because it's important to understand the mind-body connection. Everything we do, every choice we make has a cause and effect on another part of us, whether it be our mental health, our physical health, spiritual health. All of these things are connected, okay? Even the ecosystem and our environment, everything is connected in some way, shape, or form. So we will be discussing nutrition and balanced nutrition and the importance of not following fads or moral diet trends, okay? We will be discussing the importance of movement and how that affects our mental health and pretty much everything about our daily lives. And our sleep and our circadian rhythms and how that affects our endocrine system and our hormones and how that affects everything else, right? So it's going to be fun, and we're going to go into a lot of different avenues and show the interconnectedness of how everything we do is connected and how it affects our daily lives. Implementing a daily practice Incorporating the skills you learn could involve creating a personal self-care routine that includes activities aligned with your individual preferences and needs. For example, starting your day with a brief meditation followed by a nutritious, balanced breakfast and ending with a gratitude journaling session before bed. It could be as simple as that. It does not have to be like some of the yogis out here who do like 4 to 6 hours of like really structured routines and rituals. It has its place. Those things have their place because they teach you consistency, which is an important thing. And I definitely myself do incorporate probably about 4 hours of self-care and mental wellness, practices throughout my day. However, I don't think it's necessary. I think you do what works for you. I have autoimmune disease and I have a whacked out nervous system. I have dysautonomia. So which means that it takes a lot longer for me to transition from different nervous system states. I have to physically do something. My body won't do it naturally, or it will, it just takes a really long time. So it takes me a lot longer to process things within my system. So it's very important for me to have such a lot in my daily routine and in my lifestyle practice. Whereas like my partner, for instance, he does martial arts 3 to 4 times a week. He takes time to himself to go on drives and go on walks and stuff like that with the dogs. He has his routine and he knows what works for him, and that works for him. And it looks completely different, okay? So it's important to remember that it's gonna be different for everybody. Everybody has different needs, including nutritional needs and nervous system needs and digestional needs. We're all just beautiful and different and unique. So we can't really compare what our embodiment looks like compared to other people's. I see a lot of times people judging others because they're not living their life, they're not incorporating the same lifestyle as them, and it just doesn't make sense. Not what works for you may not work for another person. Maybe what you're doing doesn't align with the other person's values or goals. So it's gonna look different, and it's important to understand that. So what does embodiment look like, and how can we tell if our hard work is paying off? Here are some signs that you're integrating what you've learned and are on the process of healing. You will have an increased self-awareness. You will demonstrate greater understanding of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, as well as how your past experiences have shaped your present reality. You will find yourself catching yourself more and being aware of the changes within your body and within your mind, if you do a top-down and bottom-up approach to your healing journey, which we talked about in other videos. And we will talk about a lot more on this channel because I'm very, very strongly passionate about the bottom-up portion that's missing in a lot of therapeutic models out there still to this day. You will exhibit an improved ability to manage and express your emotions in a healthy and constructive way, rather being overwhelmed or controlled by them and not being able to control those outbursts. I know with me, I've definitely seen, I can witness, and others around me have witnessed a huge dramatic difference in how quick I am to lash out or get snappy or fight and go into my fight response. Now I think it through a little bit more, and that's where you want to get to. We're trying to get better, not perfect, okay? And the only competition is who you were yesterday, right? Keep that in mind and remember that. Don't try to compare yourself with someone else who maybe has been doing this work for 20 years or maybe didn't experience nearly as much as you have, or maybe doesn't have the same obstacles that you have, right? Healthy coping mechanisms. You are actively engaging in positive coping strategies to deal with stress, challenges, and triggers such as mindfulness, exercise, creative expression, and seeking support from others instead of resorting back to your maladaptive coping mechanisms and vices. Setting boundaries. You will begin to notice yourself establishing and maintaining healthy boundaries in your relationships advocating for your needs and your well-being without feeling guilty or sacrificing your own needs for others consistently. This this is something that's really hard for people, because especially if you're empathetic already, it's hard to accept that you need to put yourself first all the time. And not all the time. I mean, if you have children, unfortunately, you have to put them first, their needs, because they are dependent on you for their needs. Other adults can take care of themselves, children cannot. So it's important to remember that you can't always put your needs above others, but when you can, do so. It will help you with burnout. It'll help you feel not disassociate as much and try to escape the situation. It will help you regain autonomy within your body, okay? Increase resilience. You will be demonstrating resilience in the face of adversity and be able to bounce back from setbacks with determination, self-compassion, and growth mindset, instead of letting the world beat you up and take you down. A good measure for your growth is how quickly you are bouncing back, how long you're staying on, in that freeze response and laying on the couch. Usually, sometimes it can take people like 6 months to get through that stage. If you notice it getting shorter and shorter every time you face an obstacle or a major setback or a major change in your life, that's a great indicator that you are healing. Improved relationships. You will notice yourself cultivating healthier and more fulfilling relationships based on mutual respect, communication, and support, rather than dynamics characterized by codependency or toxicity. This is where we run into trauma bonding. Okay, so a lot of times our empathy creates these bonds with people that have been through the same experience because they will validate our experience. But sometimes, and that's really good, it's important. We want to feel validated and not like we're crazy or we're horrible people. But at a certain point, that validation can be a hindrance in our journey, because those trauma bonds will enable you to continue on your toxic behaviors. Okay, so unfortunately, it's important to realize that those shared experiences aren't enough. You also have to have shared values and mutual respect, as I mentioned. And whenever you make a trauma bond, those are the people you usually can't really have open communication with. You kind of have to be careful, and you know how to be careful and what you're saying. In a sense, you are masking when you're around them, because you know that there's certain things that will trigger them because they trigger you, right? And so it's important to realize that and to begin to cultivate those healthier and more fulfilling relationships. And you will notice that the type of people that are drawn to you, I mean, you will always draw in people that want to use you or manipulate you or whatever the case may be, or ride your wave, right? But you will notice yourself then also opening the door to a new caliber of relationships that is healthier and more fulfilling for you. And that comes from the inner work, right? Because just as I'm telling you to leave people, that you may need to leave people behind, people that are healing or further along on their journey are doing the same thing. They don't want to be around people that are toxic, negative, and always looking for a problem in something, or always, taking things personal and stuff like that. We all deserve connection and love, but we can't expect everybody to cater to our every whim, right? We have to learn to be our own hero in our story. A lot of people during the integration stage of the journey, like I said before, will experience a greater sense of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment in their life as they align their actions and choices into with their values and aspirations. A lot of time, people will find their purpose in this stage. Like for me, I feel like I found my purpose, which is trauma education and recovery support for others. Some other people may have found that they don't want a corporate job, and maybe they want more of an artistic outlet. and to have a job or a business that supports that. Others might realize that maybe they do want to move up in their job. Maybe before they never wanted to be a boss, but they realized through their healing journey that that was just wounds talking, and that they actually would do really well and flourish in a leadership position. So maybe they might take that on. Some people open nonprofits. Some people join community service organizations, other nonprofits. It's important to have a sense of purpose in your healing journey, because that is what will give you your why. And it gives you a reason to turn your story. It helps you rewrite the narrative type of thing, right? For me, turning my darkness into light for others to traverse through the shadows, and have something to look up to and be like, it is possible to get better. I'm not perfect. I don't have all the answers, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just a little bit better. And hopefully by me, educating and sharing my story, I hope that I'm able to make you feel not so alone on your journey. And I hope that I validate some of your experiences and show you that there is a different and better way of navigating life's obstacles and the journey, right? Hopefully, you will also show yourself greater self-compassion and self-acceptance, the whole reparenting thing. You will be treating yourself and others with more kindness, understanding, forgiveness, especially during times of difficulty or setbacks. Stressors tend to trigger our fight response. So maybe you'll be showing more compassion and kindness during those times, during those stressful times, instead of beating up yourself and everybody around you. And lastly, you will most likely adopt a growth mindset, viewing your challenges and setbacks and experiences as opportunities for learning, growth, and personal development, rather than insurmountable obstacles that you can't recover from, right? That was that whole analogy where I said, where you're stuck on the couch and you let life beat you down to the point that now you don't care about yourself anymore. That would be a scarcity mindset. A growth mindset is like, you know what, this happened, but I'm not going to let it keep me down. I'm going to use this as fuel to push myself to grow, become a stronger, more resilient, and better person for myself and for the people around me, okay? So as I mentioned before, and I will continue to mention, our relationship and support systems are vital components to the healing journey. Setting boundaries to protect our progress is important for sustainable transformation. During the integration stage, we often find ourselves re-evaluating our connections and possibly distancing ourselves from people that continually dismiss our growth or cross our boundaries. It's important to allow yourself some time to sit with yourself throughout this process and reevaluate your standards for the company you keep without judging those that don't meet your criteria. Coming to a place of acceptance without taking on others' demons nor ostracizing them for how they are handling their life is an important milestone within the integration stage. Acceptance is a huge milestone. If you can look at others partaking in maladaptive coping mechanisms or vices without judging them, that is huge. That's a huge milestone. Sometimes for some people, it takes a while for them to get there. And truthfully, that judgment comes from a place of love. It's your protector parts coming out and saying, whoa, I remember when we were doing that and what happened to us is, these people are going down the wrong path, and, you're predicting a future that hasn't happened yet. And that's important that we don't do that, okay? Because it's kind of like pigeonholing people and putting people in boxes that sometimes they don't belong in. We got to give people the benefit of the doubt. You are healing, you're recovering, so what makes you think that they can't heal or recover or even try, So finding yourself or others pulling away can often conjure feelings of loneliness, isolation, or abandonment during this stage. To help ease the discomfort of disconnection, I highly recommend focusing your energy on your hobbies and engaging in activities that bring you joy and keeping an open mind while doing so. As you do so, you will naturally find yourself surrounded by people with like-minded goals, interests, and perspectives you can learn from. Cultivating healthy relationships and setting boundaries are integral components of the integration stage, as it contributes significantly to our overall emotional well-being, self-respect, and growth. They provide a source of emotional support, validation, and connection, which are essential for healing from trauma. Having supportive individuals in our life fosters a sense of belonging and reduces our feelings of isolation and loneliness. However, a lot of times people tend to close themselves off during their healing journey, and you will often see that, especially within spiritual groups, that you need to isolate and be alone. And we talked about this before. Yes, there are moments that you need to have those times, but connecting with new people there are people out there that are going to respect your boundaries, that understand where you're at and will meet you where you're at and won't make you feel bad for where you are. You just have to be open to receiving those kind of connections. And it can be hard during this stage. I get it. I've been there. I know what it's like. But it's important, especially if you're dealing with attachment wounds and trying to empower yourself. Setting boundaries helps us maintain our self-respect and autonomy, and we can't do that if we don't have relationships, right? So it's an area that we can't work on if we don't allow ourselves to open back up to relationships. It's a muscle that we have to work on and practice. It allows us to define our personal limits, protect our emotional well-being, and assert our needs and preferences without fear or judgment of reprisal. Setting and maintaining boundaries empowers us to advocate for ourselves and prioritize our own well-being. It helps strengthen our self-esteem, self-respect, self-trust, which leads to more fulfilling and equitable relationships in the future. It's okay to say no. The right people will understand and respect that. Effective communication is key to fostering understanding, trust, and intimacy in our relationships. Clear and open communication enables us to express our feelings, thoughts, and needs authentically while also listening empathetically to others' perspectives. A healthy relationship will be open to and encourage communication even in uncomfortable situations. That's a big difference, okay? If you are engaging with someone who isn't showing effective communication skills and allowing you to express yourself authentically, that is not a healthy relationship, and that is something that you may want to consider reevaluating. And sometimes we hold on to these people because we fear abandonment, we fear being alone. But it's important to understand that you won't be alone forever as long as you keep yourself open to people with your, that are willing to meet you at your level and have effective communication skills. Navigating interpersonal dynamics and communication needs effectively or spotting green flags in people during the integration stage involves several key principles. Self-awareness. We must first understand our own needs, boundaries, and communication styles. Self-reflection and introspection can help clarify our personal values, preferences, and boundaries. Assertiveness. Assertiveness involves expressing our thoughts, feelings, and needs honestly and respectfully without infringing on the rights of others. It requires confidence, clarity, and assertive communication skills to assert boundaries and communicate effectively. This is a hard one for us, especially if, like I said before, if all we know is people who get extremely aggressive in expressing themselves in communication. That's what we're going to resort to. We can't do what we haven't been taught. We end up resorting when we aren't, when our fight or flight response is activated, we resort to what we know. We don't, it's not our prefrontal cortex, which is our rational thinking mind, gets shut off. So to conserve energy. So we're not thinking things through. So we have to learn these new skills pretty much, right? Learn how to communicate effectively, learn how to regulate our emotions. These are all things, and this is why a healing journey is so important. The skills that we learn on this healing journey ripples out into every avenue of our lives. Active listening. So this is one of the biggest things that people, they think they're doing well, but in reality, they're not. A lot of times people are listening to respond and not listening to actually listen. So in their head, they're either not truly present and taking in what you're saying. They're either thinking about something else, or they're thinking about how to respond to what you're saying. And that's not being an active listener. That's usually someone who's going to be more defensive and not consider what you're saying. They're going to be quick to respond. So active listening and being present and learning present moment awareness will help us with this, and will help us to absorb what is being said and really think about it before responding. Understanding others' perspectives, feelings, and needs without judgment or interruption is important in us fostering deeper connections. Negotiation and compromise. Healthy relationships involve negotiation and compromise to find a mutually satisfactory solution to conflicts or disagreements. Individuals must be willing to consider other perspectives, communicate openly, and elaborate on finding win-win solutions. This is really hard for people, especially when you're with someone or dealing with someone who has a completely different perspective and way of being. It's important to consider different realities and different perspectives, and it takes time. It takes you getting to know others on a deeper level than just your basic, hey, how's the weather? Did you see the new trending topic on social media? Whatever, okay? It takes you asking questions and getting to know people. And I know that can be hard because we all have our walls up and we're scared of being hurt, but we can't truly have healthy and open relationships that are good for us mentally, and which then leads to physically, if we don't learn conflict resolution, right? So, or in how to, in empathy, and step into empathy and walk a mile in someone else's shoes and consider, what they're saying is their reality and not be so dismissive. It requires consistency. Consistency in enforcing our boundaries and communicating our needs is essential because, once again, everybody is different. What makes me feel safe and secure in a relationship is going to be different from others. So I have to, people get so upset and they're like, I shouldn't have to repeat myself. Well, unfortunately, sometimes you do have to repeat yourself and remind people that, hey, I am not like you and I am different and my needs are different. This is what I need. Do you think you can help me out and meet me halfway? Sometimes you have to remind people, and over time, they'll get it. The longer you remind people, the more it solidifies in their head, okay? And I know it's hard, especially when you're in a relationship. You don't want to have to keep reminding people, but you do. There's so many different things going on in our lives. We're not always thinking about the needs of everybody around us. It's just no way we physically can. You do what feels best for you and what works for you. But, cultivating healthy and lasting connections with people is super important for us as tribal human beings. We are tribal creatures, and in order for us to feel safe in our nervous systems and in life is to have a sense of belonging, or have a tribe of people that we can reach out to. So it's important to maintain an open heart space, and your healing journey will help you reconnect with people if that's something that you're struggling with. Self-expression and creativity offer powerful avenues for healing, self-discovery, and emotional expression. For some trauma survivors, verbal communication may be challenging or inadequate for expressing our experiences. Creative outlets provide alternative modes of communication that transcend language barriers, allowing us to convey complex emotions and experiences symbolically or metaphorically instead of directly, which helps us to be able to get it out in a way that doesn't trigger nervous system responses, right? Creative expression provides a safe and cathartic outlet for processing and releasing pent-up emotions associated with trauma by engaging the limbic system, the brain's emotional center. This activation can help regulate emotions by allowing individuals to externalize and process difficult feelings associated with their trauma. Through art, writing, or music, individuals can learn to externalize their feelings, thoughts, and experiences, allowing them to explore, express difficult emotions in a nonverbal and symbolic manner. Engaging in writing or verbal expression activates regions of the brain associated with language processing and communication. This linguistic expression allows individuals to learn to articulate their experiences, emotions, and insights, fostering self-awareness and insight into their trauma narrative over time. It's a more gradual way to open Pandora's box. Remember, in the other videos I had talked about how I definitely faced my trauma too quickly and I didn't allow enough time to integrate in between, and how that led to like a nervous system overload where I was stuck crying and on the couch for 3 days straight and not able to even eat or anything. The creative expression allows us to kind of slowly work our way to the point that we can truly face our trauma and our past and our wounds. Trauma often disrupts the integration of memories into coherent narratives, leading to fragmented or intrusive recollections. Engaging in creative activities stimulates the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, facilitating the integration of traumatic memories into more cohesive autobiographical narrative. Creative activities encourage introspection and self-exploration, leading to deeper insights into one's inner world, identity, and lived experiences. Whether through painting, journaling, or composing music, we are able to tap into our subconscious mind to uncover hidden truths or patterns we may not have been aware of before, leading to a missing piece in our progress. I do plan on doing a little series on art therapy. I have a little kind of like oracle deck in a way that I have been working on for a while now, that I would love to share with you guys and work through on this channel. Maybe it could be like a little extra live video or something where we can, each card has like a prompt and it helps us look into our patterns of behavior and shadows and channel it through art. So we can communicate with different parts of our personality and psyche through art, whether that be writing or physically drawing or painting, and just letting loose and letting it out and connecting with ourselves in that way. Creativity promotes neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and form new neural connections. By engaging in novel and challenging tasks, individuals strengthen those neural pathways associated with adaptive coping mechanisms, resilience, and emotional regulation. Creative expression empowers us to reclaim agency and authorship over our narratives, counteracting feelings of helplessness or victimization often associated with trauma. By creating art, writing stories, or composing songs, we are able to assert our autonomy and reshape our personal narratives in empowering ways. Creative expression triggers the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, reward, and motivation. This dopamine release can enhance mood, reduce stress, and can help facilitate the process of meaning making by transforming our raw experiences into coherent narratives or symbolic representations. Through artistic expression, individuals reinterpret their experiences, finding new meaning, insights, and perspectives that can contribute to our sense of coherence and resilience. It helps us foster connection and solidarity with others who share similar experiences or appreciate one's artistry as well. This is the part where I was talking about a little bit about trauma bonding in a way. So, like I said, it's okay to have people that validate our experiences, but it's important to not only surround ourselves with people who have experienced the same thing. We want different perspectives that will challenge our biases and our prejudices, okay? We learn so much more from people that are different or who have grown up differently than we do from people who already are, get us. We all have kind of come to the same conclusions Let's learn from someone who's come to a different conclusion. When we are immersed in creative flow, often associated with engaging in creative activities, we experience a state of heightened focus, absorption, and timelessness. The flow state is associated with increased activity in the prefrontal cortex and reduced activity in the default mode network, leading to a sense of calm and immersion that can be therapeutic for trauma survivors. Engaging in creative activities can regulate affective states, reducing symptoms of anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress. The rhythm movements involved in painting, the flow state induced by writing, or the soothing melodies of music all have therapeutic effects on the nervous system, promoting relaxation and emotional regulation. Doing anything or any kind of artistic expression also helps us put us into our bodies too, because we have to kind of focus and kind of get over the past and, focus on the now and what we're doing in the moment instead of being focused on what happened before or what we think is going to happen next, right? So it helps us bring us into the present moment and calm our minds and our bodies down and to not be so stressed out thinking about everything else but what's happening here in the now. So it's been super helpful for me. Love zoning out in an artistic project. It's helped me so much with my anxiety. And I truly I love realistic artwork and sculpture and everything. And I think that's absolutely beautiful and it helps. But for me, I really enjoy just channeling and doing abstract art because I'm so focused on the details on a daily basis that just letting myself be chaotic and just let everything kind of vomit on paper. It's so cathartic for me. And, it's something to make sure that if you do want to embrace creative expression, that you try out different styles and types, even woodworking, it's all about working with your hands. There's a lot of scientific evidence that shows working with our hands helps us or helps our mental health. And we've kind of gotten away from it in our modern society, which could be contributing to the uptick in anxiety. We're so focused. We're constantly telling people, oh, you need to be more productive, be more productive. And we're not noticing or seeing or willing to acknowledge the negative impacts that's having on our mental and physical health right now. Creative expression encourages experimentation, risk-taking, self-discovery, and fosters personal growth and resilience. By exploring new mediums, techniques, or artistic styles, we expand our self-concept, challenge our limiting beliefs, and cultivate a sense of mastery and competence. Incorporating creative outlets into the integration stage of trauma recovery can enhance the healing process by engaging multiple neural pathways and systems involved in emotional regulation, memory consolidation, reward processing, and self-expression, offering us unique opportunities for self-reflection, expression, and transformation. I would also like to say artistic expression also can be movement oriented, like dance, interpretive dance, yoga. It helps with the mastery and focus and bring you into the present moment. And even with movement, you can become creative in that too, just creating different transitions or workout routines and stuff like that. It's all working the same muscles and neural pathways within our brain. Setbacks or relapse are common experiences during the integration stage of trauma recovery. As individuals navigate the complexities of implementing new coping mechanisms, setting boundaries, and cultivating healthier habits, it's very, very common to see ourselves resorting to old ways. Like I said before, 28 days minimum to create a new habit. So be patient with yourself. We'll talk a lot about self-compassion because it's important. Beating yourself up and shaming yourself isn't going to change anything. While setbacks can be disheartening, they are a natural part of the healing process and they do not diminish your progress or resilience. You're still strong, you're still worthy, and you can do it. Here's how we can navigate setbacks and cultivate resilience during the integration stage. Reframe your mindset on failure. Normalize setbacks. remind yourself that setbacks are a normal part of the healing journey and not to signify failure as regression. It's a normal part of the process of anything, of learning any new skill. You've got to fail and learn from those failures in order to master whatever you're trying to learn. Acknowledge the challenges you face with compassion and understanding, recognizing that healing is non-linear and we will have ups and downs. Cultivate self-compassion by offering yourself the same kindness and understanding you would extend to a friend or a loved one facing similar struggles. A lot of times we can be really supportive of people around us, but then when it comes to ourselves, we beat ourselves up for failing or maybe not being consistent enough or not being productive enough, whatever the case may be. It's important to remember that we are worthy of the love that we give to others, and to make sure that we give that to ourselves and we develop the skills and the mindset needed to do so. Use setbacks as opportunities for reflection and growth. Identify triggers, patterns, or contributing factors that lead to setbacks and explore what you can learn from these experiences instead of letting them beat you up. Self-reflection can inform future strategies for coping and resilience instead of allowing life to take us down. Reach out support. Like I keep saying, it's okay to say, maybe I can't do this on my own. Maybe I do need help. It's okay to follow other people and use someone as a mentor even, read their books, learn a little bit about their life story and how they overcame something. That is also reaching out for support. Following someone else's blueprint and incorporating what works for you can sometimes be what you need. Revisit and reinforce coping strategies that have been effective for you in the past. This is why I talk about journaling so much. When you journal, you tend to write down, especially if you're doing it the right way, you want to reflect on your day. So you want to write, this happened today, this is how I handle it type of situation. And that, and going back and having that written down somewhere sometimes can be really helpful. And sometimes it's interesting to see where you've regressed. You can see where you've regressed in that way too. Reframe challenges as opportunities. I talk about post-traumatic growth a lot within my group, within my workbooks that I'm creating, and on this channel we will talk about it a lot. It's important to try to reframe those setbacks and opportunities and failures as insights. And instead of taking it as you just can't do it. That's something I definitely have to work on. Immediately, the first thing I notice is I will say, I can't. Even when I was giving birth to my kids, I can't. And then the nurses kept saying to me, well, you don't really have a choice. And they were correct. So a lot of times, we have to take that into life too, and apply that into our life. A lot of times, it doesn't matter if we think we can or can't, we just have to, or what else is going to happen, right? We let ourselves go. It's important to stay hopeful and persistent and celebrate your progress along the way. Cultivating self-compassion, resilience, and a growth mindset helps us navigate setbacks with grace and perseverance, continuing our journey of healing and growth with renewed determination and self-awareness. Remember, setbacks do not define your progress. Rather, they serve as stepping stones toward greater resilience, self-discovery, and well-being. Well, my friends, we have officially come to the end of this video and the end of this series on the various stages of the healing journey. To summarize this video, we explored the transformative power of incorporating healing insights into our daily lives by discussing the importance of reflection and celebrating our progress, no matter how small, emphasizing the significance of integrating new coping mechanisms and healthier habits into our daily lives. Healing is a lifestyle change. It's not just affirmations and breath work. It's a whole lifestyle change. We talked about the role of creative outlets such as art, writing, or music in facilitating healing, self-discovery, and emotional expression. And we discussed strategies for navigating different setbacks or relapses with resilience, self-compassion, and perseverance. As you continue your journey of healing and growth, I invite you to take some time to reflect on how far you've come on your healing journey. Consider the insights you've gained along the way, the coping mechanisms you've developed, and the boundaries you've set. Acknowledge your strengths and celebrate your achievements, no matter how small. While reflecting, maybe even start to consider one area of growth or healing that you may like to focus on during upcoming months. Whether it's practicing self-compassion, setting healthier boundaries, or exploring new coping mechanisms and strategies, really take your time in choosing where you would like to start. Next month, we will be discussing how trauma impacts our lives and forms our personal defense mechanisms, so stay tuned and subscribe if you would like to learn more. And who knows, you might even uncover a new area that you might want to delve into while learning about maladaptive coping mechanisms and strategies. I also invite you to share your progress and insights and experiences with our Facebook or YouTube community. Either comment below or join our Facebook group. In the About This Channel section, there's links there that you can click on to join our Facebook group. And in there, maybe share some of your insights to help others along their way. You don't have to, but it would be great to hear from you. You never know what part of your story may inspire others and foster, and create connections and support that you never thought were possible. It's been a pleasure going through the healing journey with you, and I'm so grateful that you have made it through the series. And I look forward to the month of May, which is mental health awareness. And on this channel, it's going to be pretty much trauma-informed care and awareness. So I look forward to going through that with you. Thank you so much for staying to the end and watching the video, and I look forward to the next one. Have a beautiful day.